They kidnapped me at gunpoint at my home. I saw no light for 14 days while chained to a bed and wearing a mask. Torture and beating were terrible. My death was imminent right. I had no choice but to trust God with my kids' destiny and say, "Okay, I know you love them more than I do. Please take care of them." I gave up. In a flash, I fell asleep. I was bewildered above myself. I'm here. How can that be me? I went down to look and discovered it was me. The mask, handcuffs, and holding room were visible. Strangely, there was no discomfort. It was the best I'd ever felt. I felt light and free. From my side, I saw a white light grow larger and larger, and Jesus emerged from it. I felt humbled and thrilled. I assumed he was wearing white, but his bright light made it hard to tell if it was a white robe or hood. He had his head, hair, and face exposed, and only white light. I looked at his toes and thought, "Oh, he's wearing a sandal," but then I peered closer and saw that he was barefoot. He carried me like a baby. I fit into another adult's arms like an infant, which is illogical. I hugged on him, and he patted my hair and whispered, "It's okay now, you'll be okay. No more pain, no more suffering, you can rest." I cannot express how comforting that was. Next, left. When I woke up, we were wandering on the beaches of. I marveled at everything like a newborn. I remember looking over his shoulder and seeing no traces where he walked. "Why is that?" I inquired instantly. He adds, "Because you're not supposed to go back." When I realized, oh, I'm not going to see my babies again, I wasn't sad, like an unacceptable fact. He told me it's an impossibility to feel sorrow or fear or shame or guilt or any negative emotion in that realm. He threw me in the sand, and I whittled and dug my feet like a newborn with my first beach experience. I stooped down and held the crystal clear sand grains, but they didn't harm my feet because it was soft. He held my hand as we walked on the beach, and I watched the sea. Strangely, when he walked, the water stopped moving. It was odd because how could the water not ripple? In response to my reasonable query, he responds, "That's because everything was still in my presence, and when we passed by, then there would be a little ripple after it." So amazing, indescribable. Greenery and trees were unlike anything I'd seen before. See the sky. No sky, only light everywhere. No clouds, no blue. I'm thinking, so where is the light coming from? The sun was absent. He said, "The light you see is the light of God." I didn't comprehend until I saw a neighboring rock. Light enveloped the rock, casting no shadow. I saw no shadows on the tree leaves. Then I realized God's light is everywhere at once. When we reached the end of the beach, an even brighter white light and God's voice emerged. He adds, "So, Debbie, you do want to go back for your kids?" I almost felt embarrassed, but I knew there would be no judgment. I add, "Yes, everything, they need me. I need to go back if I can." "Okay, you can go back to your children." That light went out, and I knew everything would be fine. I looked back and saw Jesus smiling broadly, almost grinning. Seeing me, he continued, "Everything will be okay now. You'll see." He put his palm on my head, and warmth spread from my hair to my feet. I realized then that he's curing me of all my diseases. After walking back around the shore, he hugged me again and left practically at the beginning. I walked 2 steps forward and saw saints on my left and right. They wore white robes with covered heads. They weren't allowed to show their faces, but the hood covered their heads. I grew up unaware of Archangel Michael on my left shoulder and Gabriel on my right. The angels were white light with wings. People think white and slow are bad. Over 9 feet tall, Archangel Michael with his sword. They are soldiers, not fluffy. Their business. Mother Mary wore a light brown tunic with her hair covered, but her face was visible. The saints bent and prayed for me, but Mother Mary was the only one who looked at me and smiled like a mother. I was told God always answers the prayer of a mother. I got quite fatigued suddenly. In fetal position, I laid on the beach, curled up fetal. I recall my return to my body. Flying meant space, time, or light. Very dancer-like, I knew I could return to my past. I could visit other planets, man, and that was amazing. Unfortunately, it ended. Knowing I had to return to my body. I remember that gulp. After experiencing freedom, life and reality, this body felt worse. Coming back to this can be so distressing. Still missing home. People, this is not home. This is camping compared to what's next. I was calm when I returned to my body because I knew things would be okay. Fear vanished. Unsure of how I might die, I imagined the worst for 12 days. After this, I was peaceful and cheerful. I had no idea how or when it would happen, but I knew it would be fine. 2 nights later, they accepted the offer to drop off the ransom money again, which worked. God told the world, "I see, hear, and know everything in darkness and light." I avoided an unthinkable scenario thanks to him. The cops didn't understand why the kidnapper gave me my phone to call my husband. Nobody knows why the keeper was a beast to me, but the next day he became my defender and promised to me that he was my buddy, and that anyone who hurt me would have to kill him first. It was divine intervention. God declared, "I'm a cold-blooded killer," when I put everything in his hands. Many people have died in my life. He wept and apologized. Apologize, that was God's doing, not mine. When I went to the doctor in hospital after being released, they said, "Debbie, most likely, you would have contracted HIV from one of these." He said I had 98% chance of it. I was calm since Jesus did it all. The final test results were negative. The doctor was confused. He's confused. No HIV. Please rest assured that it's not scary. We live, leave our meats, and win. Death should not be painted. Honestly, I look forward to my time. Wow, I'll be thrilled. Going home is exciting.